m'avais manqué.
If you're listening to this, you are probably the person sent by the office to continue my investigation. Well, at least I hope. My name is Matthew Banks, and I started this work about a year ago. As stated in my previous reports, I infiltrated the lighthouse last month, but they just found out that a tape was missing, and I think they're on to me now. I used to borrow tapes during the night, but this time they noticed before I could bring them back. I didn't have time to use the new filtering machine, but I left a tape inside it. I hope it's safe there with you. Since I have to leave, I prepared the way for you, and I have regrouped all of my ongoing work onto 3 different boards, each including a guiding tape. The first one gathers my studies on the audio signal coming from the oceanic floor, which was the reason our interest was piqued by Saint-Exil in the first place. The second board will give you more details on the local cult, whose believers call themselves the Devoted. The third board is about Operation White Medusa, which is probably why you're here now. We are now definitely forced to recognize that the village of Saint-Exil is the center of great political and scientific interest, as we first suspected. I hate to leave like this, but I'm afraid my time has come. During the last 2 weeks, the lighthouse had trouble acquiring new information from ashore. Apparently, some kind of technology has been jamming their signal. Is there some kind of expert trying to hack the operation? I'll leave it to you to find out.
Te revoilà?
One, two. 1, 2. That works? Okay. Damn machine. I'm finally starting to understand what's going on here with the electricity. A priori, everything revolves around the lighthouse. I consulted many old newspapers, and the village gazette told me that Saint-Exil was very poorly served by electricity and regularly suffered severe power cuts. I knew that it was a very isolated village, which is what makes it so charming, but I hadn't thought of that. Half of the articles in the Gazette are devoted to the inhabitants.
Completely locked.
Who, tired of the cuts, ended up installing small wind turbines for their homes. The other half is about the lighthouse, and that's where it gets interesting. I read that the mayor of the village had installed underwater turbines connected to the building, which are capable of producing electricity thanks to the movement of the sea. This has enabled the village to gain autonomy and to overcome the failures of the general electrical network. Fourth day that I'm stuck. I'm not gonna make it here. They terrify me. I don't know what to do. They hunt me like an animal. They have taken on a human form, but there is nothing human about them. They come out of nowhere without you expecting it and materialize in a kind of elusive black vapor. I can't do anything against them. I don't know how to fight them. I found a weapon, but I'm struggling to use it, and I'm always out of bullets. There's even more of them at night. They swarm like cockroaches. I have to shut myself up at home as soon as night falls. And they prevent me from leaving this cursed village, Pierre. As soon as I try to leave Saint-Exil, they arrive by the thousands and they get me. If they catch me, I wake up in my bed and it's been hours, maybe even a whole day. I'm their prisoner.
I don't have anything on me to enhance my gun.
I would like to tell you about the bracelet you gave me right after we arrived here. You found that gem on the beach and crafted it into this beautiful piece of jewelry. You told me that you felt that this pebble had something special, that it radiated, well, you were right, you know. He protects me from the monsters I told you about. If I smack it against the ground, it produces a shock wave that violently repels ghosts. Sometimes, he can even dissolve them when they attack me. He is so strong that I decided to name him Rocky, since it's a rock. But Rocky is also a sensitive guy, you know? He doesn't like explosive noises. If I explosive noises. If I shoot a gun in his ear, he can even start a thunderstorm. At that moment, I feel transported to another reality, to another time. And once calm returns, I have the impression that it only lasted a few seconds, whereas about 15 minutes had actually passed. Better tease sparingly. Sometimes I feel like he's almost alive. He gets lazy at the end of the day, especially if I made him work a lot. But, hey, nothing a good night's sleep can't fix. Anyway, all that to say that he reminds me a bit of you. It's probably silly, but I feel like you're watching over me through him. And that helps me hold on. I finished reading the documents Matthew Banks had left for his replacement, who never came. Matthew apparently needed to join the lighthouse maintenance team to gain access to the Rorqual cell. To achieve this,
Happy to see some boats were spared by these mad cultists.
he was forced to make a deal. The sect could help him get hired quickly, but in exchange, Matthew would have to pass on the information obtained once there. He didn't know why the cult was interested in all this, but he needed them. So he agreed in order to continue his investigation. Matthew knew that the Rorqual cell used a specific radio frequency to communicate with the outside. Just before his departure, he discovered that the cell could no longer connect to this very frequency.
This tree couldn't resist the force of the last storm.
The radio worked well, but the signal of this wave was scrambled, which prevented transmission. It looked like sabotage, but who was behind it all? A member of the lighthouse team? Another spy? Only one thing was clear to him. If someone had wanted to disturb the signal, he would have gone through the big antenna of Saint-Exil. I have already spotted it in the past. It is on the quays towards the beach. I just have to go there. I'm sure it's this giant blue rock under the house that must be responsible for our bubble that protects and keeps monsters away from our home. The crate of rocks came with a bunch of analysis papers that probably had to be shipped with the set. I don't understand all this paperwork, but these rocks seem to have totally unexpected properties. I don't know if there is any connection between the monsters and this rock, and why it would have an effect on them and not me. Pierre? This is going to sound ridiculous, but I needed to talk to you, so here I am. I know it's not a phone, and you're not on the other side, but I make do with what I have. The evenings are long without you, and I miss our discussions. I'm locked up because of the monsters, so
I think I'm going to need a lever.
to find something to take care of. You'll never believe me, but I've discovered a new passion, making bullets for my pistol. It has become my comforting little evening ritual. And then I read newspapers or documents that I found. I try by all means to discover information that would allow me to understand what is happening here. When I can't sleep, I sort my tapes and listen to your songs again. This is by far my favorite time of the day. Well, it's already very late, and I have a long day ahead of me tomorrow. I'm going to bed. Sweet dreams. Did I ever tell you about the sea columns? It's the only thing I like about this hell. If you could see them, you would love them too. These are huge columns of water that start from the sea and rise slowly towards the sky, to infinity. They exude a feeling of quiet strength, serene power. They carry with them rocks which gravitate alongside them throughout their ascent. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel almost calm looking at them, fooled by their placid appearance. Inside,
This door has no handle.
thunder and flashes rage
Apparently someone was moving when everything stopped.
silently, reminding us that they are inhabited by a formidable energy. Moreover, they also emit strange and deaf noises, like an animal cry or a complaint. Anyway, I'm not the only one to be fascinated by this show. Birds and seagulls are attracted to these columns and flock to their base by the hundreds. They fly around for hours, as if waiting for something. I'm always afraid they'll get caught, but the columns are gentle giants. One thing is certain. I will continue to admire them from the cliff.
Completely locked. I'm gonna need the key. La Vieille Chaloupe, restaurant and brewery. Fresh fish straight from the port. I sure hope the products are fresher than this poster.
I can't take this dream anymore. I wake up in this dusty tunnel-shaped cave. It is essentially made up of some kind of light-absorbing rocks, like the ones the insides of a planet would create. I go through this hallway and come across the
Completely locked.
ghosts that haunt me. But this time they don't try to catch me. There are also military and scientific equipment. I can't tell if they are studying or planning to attack something. A sheet of heavy smoke waits for me at the end, and it's too thick to see behind, and I'm attracted like a moth is to light. The closer I get to the exit, the more I hear ringing, until I realize it's my alarm, and I wake up like nothing happened, and at the same exact hour as usual, 8 a.m. If somebody finds this journal, I've gone nuts apparently. Do what you want with that information, or shove it somewhere warm.
It won't open from this side.
Dear people of Saint-Exil, this message is for you. I know our local authorities have been breaking their backs, picturing us as fools. Do not listen to this nonsense. Our actions are dedicated to all of you. Once the day comes, those who denied will finally see the truth with their eyes. The distant shall all be remembered. You are all invited to our next ceremony. This Friday, join us in the writing of birthdays on the departed boat. Let's put the world to rights. It's the only way now.
1, 2. 1, 2. That works? Okay. Damn machine. I'm finally starting to understand what's going on here with the electricity. A priori, everything revolves around the lighthouse. I consulted many old newspapers, and the village gazette told me that Saint-Exil was very poorly served by electricity and regularly suffered severe power cuts. I knew that it was a very isolated village, which is what makes it so charming, but I hadn't thought of that. Half of the articles in the Gazette are devoted to the inhabitants who, tired of the cuts, ended up installing small wind turbines for their homes. The other half is about the lighthouse, and that's where it gets interesting. I read that the mayor of the...
In 1977, an ultra-low frequency sound was picked up by scientists south of the Atlantic Ocean. But no one succeeded in identifying the structural composition of this acoustic phenomenon, and many theories were put forward. Spy submarine, human aeronautical activities on the surface, or even tests of explosives resonating through the abyss. The case remained closed for 2 years until a second sound was recorded 2,000 kilometers from Namibia. This time, the subject worried specialists. The position of the two recordings suggests the movement of something. In 1984, the sound was picked up again, several times around the Bermuda Triangle. Governments in many countries decided to classify all information about this issue as confidential, and the general public was kept away. While tracking other countries' progress, our secret services discovered in '86 that the French government was particularly interested in the matter, and that they put in motion a special program called Rorqual, a scientific project mainly dedicated to the understanding of unknown oceanic noises. We then decided in 1987, based on what we found in the village of Saint-Exil, and considering that this last signal was recorded off the coast of French Brittany, that it made perfect sense for me to start our investigation here. During my time, I discovered a platform for listening and monitoring seismic activities at the heart of the lighthouse. Only recently, and thanks to an information trading deal I made with the cult, I got myself recruited there as a maintenance agent. It allowed me to find that the lighthouse crew is, in fact, following the movement of an object which turns out to be a French military submarine. So was it only a submarine that we tracked from the beginning? But its movements are inconsistent. How did it produce this noise that we regularly pick up? I copied a lot of tapes and left them inside the hideout, but they're all still encrypted. I was hoping to get more information from it, but I spotted a car in front of the house tonight, and it's clearer than ever now that my time to leave has come. Infiltrating the cell in the heart of the lighthouse made me realize that the French government is very concerned about the development of the situation here in Saint-Exil. The development of the sect, as well as the growing anomalies observed in the population and nature, are monitored in a sustained manner. They came to realize that if they do not act, this situation will eventually draw the attention of the entire country to Saint-Exil. I had, in my hands, documents detailing an operation called White Medusa, the purpose of which was to methodically isolate and capture everybody in the village. Do they think that the people here are all sick or contaminated with something? Or do they mean to sweep this affair under the rug? They seem to foresee two possible scenarios for carrying out Operation White Medusa. As if by coincidence, there are incidentally two events which attract almost all the population in the same place. The village festival, which takes place during a whole weekend, or a fair organized by the village school. I was able to reconstruct on the map the assaults considered in each of these possible scenarios. A large number of troops will be deployed, and they can easily prevent anyone from escaping by blocking the main accesses and roads. They will proceed using heavy trucks and toxic gas to control and direct the crowd toward them. The inhabitants of Saint-Exil have a Damocles sword over their head, but they don't know of its existence, nor when it will fall. In many areas, the life in Saint-Exil has deteriorated sharply in recent years. Local studies tend to show that nature has adopted an abnormal behavior. In many areas, the life in Saint-Exil has deteriorated sharply in recent years. Local studies tend to show
Tu es mon seul ami.
This door can be unlocked from the other side.
Moi je t'aime. Bugas.
From the depth of the sea, his anger spreads through our families. This sounds terrifying. Wondering what's that thing they mention all the time. This is one of the places of contemplation in Saint-Exil. It was vandalized just before everything went down. Franck, the 19th of March, 1967. Celine, the 30th of December, 1966. 27 is a really young age to go. Despite the mess the protesters left behind, you're still offering comfort, aren't you? Damien, the 28th of June, 1971. This one looks like it came back from a long trip. Only one destination for you? My bag. Can you? Oh yeah, let me catch my breath.
Moi je t'aime. seul ami.